Access to the Monte Zone will be granted shortly. Please stand by.
It's Friday. It's 8 o'clock. It's the Monte Zone.
Yes!
Whoop, 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 whoop. Good evening, good evening, good evening, good evening, good evening. It's the Monte Zone with Monteman and G. We are back. It's not even the end of the month, and here we are already, G.
Yeah, I know.
It's crazy.
We're nice.
It's crazy. Yes, we are back with maybe the first of 2 Monte Zones for August. Who knows?
Who knows?
We could go mad. With another Monte Zone. Something a bit different this evening. We're not sure how it's going to go, but we're going to give it a bash. Keep
your eyes peeled on the community thread. That's what I always say.
Yeah, keep your eyes peeled. So the idea of this evening is we've got our spinny wheel that we use for the TNG review show on Sundays. We're loading it up with topics
on Wednesdays.
On
Wednesdays
on the Star Trek review show on Wednesdays. Yeah.
Yep.
We're loading it up with paranormal topics. We'll spin that wheel in turns, and whatever it lands on, that's what we're going to have to talk about. And
yeah.
Now
we've got 4 wheels.
4 wheels.
So 4 wheels.
4 wheels on this wagon.
8 different categories.
Yeah.
And we want the audience to get involved, because what's going to happen is, Monty will go, or I will go. The wheel will spin. Whatever category it lands on, we've got to try and think about something that happened around that category, or talk about something that's related to that category. And if we can't, what we'll be doing is we'll be asking the audience. And if nobody from the audience can think of anything to share, then either myself or Monte can pass it over to the other person to talk about. Each time we manage to talk about something within that category, we'll get 10 Monte Zone points. Same for you guys. And even if we haven't asked the audience, you can still put something in chat that you know about related to that subject. And if we find it interesting, we'll give you 10 Monte Zone points for that as well. So I'm going to be keeping scores all night. And towards the end of the show, we can then say who got the most points. So all a bit of fun, a bit of a game to play.
Yeah. You are now our scores on the board George Stores, aren't you? Keep score at the Star Trek review show.
Well, I tell you what, obviously I started the whole quiz thing in the TNG review show.
Yeah, it's all your fault.
And then I've never done that. I've never done the scores. And now, coming back on the show and doing the scores now, they're a minefield. It literally, I think at one point in the stream, Smiler thought that I'd had a stroke or something. So I was like this. And I was just trying to work out all the points for about 10 minutes. With the amount of people that are playing, which is great. We obviously want those numbers. Yeah. If the numbers increased, you'd need some sort of computer or something to record the activity of everything that's going on.
Well, allow people to tell us what they've scored themselves.
Yeah, so you've got to keep your own scores from now on. Yeah,
that's right,
it is really quite complicated, and I can see why Maz and McBob and Chief Sean were complaining and not so happy about having to do it, because doing that and something else, I couldn't even imagine of doing that on Wednesday and then doing Goose and Trivia or something else. I'd just be in a wreck.
Yeah, Mickey's like, we're going to resort to the good old truth system. yeah. That's going to work well, I think. Yeah. Smile. I thought you dozed off. Or maybe your camera had frozen.
She thought the camera had frozen. She's like, have we lost G? So evening to Smiler as well, and evening to Mickey. If you are watching with us, please do say hello in chat. We are one big community here and love to know who we've got on board with us. So it's a bit unplanned, so we're hoping that people may come along this evening, but because we're not at our usual time slot, who knows? But people can watch it back on, pre-recorded or after the post-production.
Yeah, we're just kind of entertaining ourselves, aren't we? And Mickey out there.
True.
That's Smiler.
Yes. Hopefully.
This is the point where I normally say hello to everyone in live chat. So, hiya Smiler, our Wrench, and hiya Mickey, our studio audience for this evening. Yeah.
Stay with us, guys. Don't go anywhere.
Please don't leave. Else we're just technically talking to ourselves, which...
I will pay you to stay. No. Checks in the post.
We don't pay for bot views. We just pay for actual views. Yeah.
Well, let's keep that chat going. Let us know what kind of week you're having, Mickey or Smiler. Let us know if you're having a good week. If you've got anything special planned for the weekend. Because the weekend is here upon us. It is a Friday night.
It's a Friday night. Yes. Have you got a beer this evening, G? Have you got a beer with you there?
Disappointingly, I haven't. Probably not a good combination for me. I've had a bit of problem today with sciatica, and so I've had to take some extra painkillers, and I don't want to cocktail the alcohol with that. So I'm going to just take it easy this evening. So what have you got?
I've got nothing.
What are you drinking?
No.
Well, that's useless.
I know. In prep, I had a cup of tea in my Christmas mug. If my Smiler might be nice and go get me a glass of wine, white wine, later on, maybe. But yeah.
If you're good.
It's a quiet weekend for Mickey. There is a bottle of white wine in the fridge. You could pour me a glass from. The wine service is on its way. That worked out well. I'm imagining Mickey's probably got a Magners. That's just a
he's not gift. Got anything because he's got work on this weekend. So no beer for him either.
No beer. No beer.
This is what the middle of the month feels like, is it?
I know, yeah. Stick to the end of the month.
It's like, oh God, let's just go to the end of the month, really.
Yeah.
So Yeah, what kind of week have you had, Monty?
Not bad,
been-
not bad. We started Picard in the Star Trek review show, so that was pretty good.
Iridescent.
Oh,
Reaction to that's been fantastic so
it's,
far.
it doesn't pick up on the camera, maybe, but this is an
Is that
iridescent.
Prosecco?
No, it's just white wine, but it's an iridescent wine glass. You know, it's like
Ah,
a rainbow pearl kind of effect wine glass.
comes out looking more gold on camera.
Um,
Rainbow truthful.
yeah, Smiler Rainbow living up to her name there, providing me rainbow wine glasses. Yeah. So that was really good to start. It was a really good episode. So that's really good. And I'm on my second week of my 2 weeks off. So I'm just enjoying my holiday. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's the other
pretty
reason
good.
why we decided to do the Monte Zone this evening, because you're off work and I don't start the new job until Monday, so
Exciting
things are gonna
times.
go crazy for me. Yeah, things are going to go crazy for me from next week. So that brings me nicely to my first bit of news, actually, which isn't news, but it's vault news. I've been saying on the last couple of live streams that I was going to drop a G-Star Vault this week. Now, unfortunately, that's gone a little bit behind schedule. I have started it. I've got over 10 minutes of the episode so far. I think it's going to more turn out to be like a half an hour episode. But a couple of things have sort of slowed it down a little bit. Just some live stuff this week. And then also, I forgot I hadn't edited for quite some time. So it's taking me a little bit longer to do, if you understand what I mean. Like remembering how to do everything. So it's taking a little bit longer. I'm also having some issues with some of the location footage that I filmed. I'm actually at a crossroads because I don't think going back out and refilming will make any difference, because it's a locational thing that's the issue. However, I do think I'll be able to still use it pretty well. But it's going well so far. But it should be, because I'm starting the new job next week, I still should have it either sometime next week or the week after. So keep an eye again on that community thread on the vault, and I'll keep you updated I'll give like a couple of days warning that it's going to drop. But yeah, so it's going well, but just a bit behind schedule.
Cool. Look forward to that.
Oh, and the other reason that slowed it down a little bit as well is because the video, just giving a little bit of a sneak peek, the video is basically about two sightings that I've personally had this year. One was in February and one was in last month. So I've gone about making sure that I officially report both sightings, and I've reported them to a network called Enigma and also to MUFON. And so that took a little bit of time, but also this week I've heard back from MUFON regarding the second sighting, the one that I had some video footage on, and they just want some more details and some other bits clarifying, but obviously it's piqued their interest. So that's kind of exciting, and hopefully if I get something back between now and before the end of making the video, I'll be able to insert that into the episode as well. But yeah,
it's great to be able to put like a sort of a story out there, a paranormal story with our own footage, on our own channel. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, do you know what? I spoke on camera on the episode for quite some time about how, like, I don't know if I felt comfortable doing that. I mentioned it to you before. Like, I wasn't sure whether it will come across to some people as just trying to create content. But, the thing is, I've been watching the skies for decades and I've never seen anything. And I've been on video before saying that I've not really seen anything other than the original experience that happened to me when I was younger. So, it was a surprise to me more than anybody else. But you're right; it's great to be, being able to analyze something yourself. And it's just such a shame that I didn't get the first one on camera whatsoever. So. But I'm actually think I'm going to cut that out of the episode, me explaining that, because actually I don't know if I need to. So, but it was worthwhile saying it here.
Yeah. All right, thank you, G. So, as is customary with the Monte Zone, we'll start off with the news.
Yeah. So not a huge amount happening this sort of last or since we were with you last. However, because I'm knee deep in kind of doing everything that we were just discussing, and it's all kind of UAP, UFO related, my head is really in that world right now. And so there's a few things that have come up. These are what I want to do is I want to share with you sort of 3 sightings that have been shared on the internet that I've come across. We're going to look at them, talk about them, and review them. I'm going to give you my thoughts. You can give your thoughts as well, Monty. Just thinking which one to start with. So we'll start with this one. So it's a video. So bear with me a moment. So, and this one I believe was taken in, I want to say Croatia.
It was Croatia,
right.
or you just want to say Croatia?
Just wondering if I share video. No, I just have to share screen. I think it'll come up on the video when I bring it up. I think it says where it's from, or there's at least some hashtags. Right, that's ready to share on the stream, Monty. So have a look at this one, guys. This is called Bright White Cube UFO slowly rotating while in a fixed place. So let me just play the video. It does zoom in.
I feel I've seen that before. It's TARDIS. I think that's what it is. That is definitely a cube.
Just trying to figure out if I can get rid of the volume.
I can't hear anything.
So that's pretty much close to the end of the video. I can go back and replay it. I can't seem to cut out the volume.
We're not getting
Seems
any
a bit
volume.
louder. Oh, you're not? That's good, because it's really loud on my end.
No, it's just below where the dot is. I don't know why I'm pointing to it, like you can actually see it. But the little speaker thing is just below where the dot is now.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's just like, it sounds like traffic noise in the background. It's really loud. So you're not missing anything significant that would make a difference to the footage. Let me just scroll back to, so we get a still on the screen of it in its real cube format. So yeah, what did you think of this one?
I'm going to guess and say like one of those like children's pop-out tents. You know, when my kids were little, we used to have a selection of cube tents, and they were like sprung wired, so they were flat packed. You got them out of the pack, and they just go flung into a big cube.
Yeah,
I reckon one of them was in someone's garden, and it's been caught up with the wind, and it's, I don't know. That's a possible explanation.
Yeah, when I first looked at it, funny enough, it wasn't until the second time that I got it correct, because I just thought to myself, watching the footage, that the object's not moving at a particularly fast rate. So straight away, it kind of brings up those concerns that it's something inflatable, or you know, like a, do they call it dirigible, or you know, whatever, something that is like balloon type or an advertising sort of thing. But then going back and looking at it, then is basically saying that it's in a fixed spot. It's not actually moving at all. It's just rotating. So I haven't analyzed this footage fully to check out whether that's correct or not. But you know, the other thing that I found interesting about it, and let me just bring it up bring it to the place in the footage where I think what's interesting is it does kind of give you a sense of scale as well, because it's sometimes annoying with these pieces of footage. If it's just all sky in the background, you can't get a real sense of size or scale.
Well, you can't tell how far away it is. It's either a big thing far away or a small,
or it's a really tiny thing that they zoom in on. Yeah. So you're not getting that scale for sure, but at least it shows from the person filming it that there's some effort, at least not to deceive.
Yeah.
In some regards, anyway. So, but it's always better to see that. But
evening, Chris. Some Smiler thinks maybe like a Chinese lantern style thing, like a paper cube. That might be that sort of thing. Or we're living in Minecraft and it's a Minecraft cloud. That's pretty cool. Good evening, Chris. Chris is with us. Good evening to you, sir. Mickey thinks some sort of tent or possibly a Borg cube.
See, this one would definitely seem more interesting to me if has that gone? Oh, sorry. So what I just did then. I just played the video. Completely lost it.
A Chinese spy balloon. Yes.
I was trying to double check what location it was from, because I wanted to be sure that it was, but I believe it was. Oh yes, it was filmed by a civilian named Kirill Astra over Prague in the Czech Republic. So it wasn't Croatia. No, it was filmed on July 31st, 2024. So literally just a couple of weeks ago, if not that. And so, but the thing that would really have pulled my attention on this one would have been if shall I share it again?
Yeah,
because I think I've there you go, it's ready. So I'll just let's see if I can mute volume. Mute. Right. Play. Come on. There we go. Yeah, nice. Can you still hear me?
Yep.
Yep, and I can still hear you good. So yeah, I think what would have really interested me is like there's quite a few pieces of footage that I've shared on the channel already in the past, both on the Monte Zone and G-Star Vaults, where you can clearly see the object kind of change in shape. There was one that which was actually called a cube in the title, but then you see it change shape. If this one was changing shape, that would definitely pique my interest. But it's definitely cute, like a cube shape, like you said. The good thing is you can see that sort of, the shadow that kind of really gives the impression of the cube shape. But because it doesn't seem to, and this could be slowly moving in the sky, just caught on a wind.
Yeah.
But on camera, when it's zoomed in, when there's no depth, perspective, it just doesn't look like it's moving. And you would get that sense when they draw out like it is now anyway, because it's such a far distance off that you wouldn't get the sense of movement. But I think it is slowly, moving it in the wind. And so therefore, I think it's something that's like quite inflatable.
Yeah, Chris thinks it looks like an inflatable type thing to him, which is what we initially thought, wasn't it? Something like that.
So that was number one, and that was from the Czech Republic. This one, so let me bring the video up. And when you watch this one, there's several ones that I've brought before again in the past where the objects that are caught move so fast that you can't see them on the initial run through, and you have to do things like slow-mo. This is no exception, this one. It's ready to share, Monty.
Yep, it's on screen.
All right, perfect. This one was taken in the US. I'm presuming it's at some sort of air show, but the details beyond that are vague. Yeah.
Oh, there's a little dot that went across the screen.
No, it's doing it in slow-mo now. So keep looking. Unfortunately, I don't think I can zoom in any further than that. No, I can't zoom in.
Oh, there's two actually.
Did you see two?
Yeah, well, there are more than two, were there?
Mickey said in chat with that last one that it may have been more like a polystyrene cube.
Yeah.
Yeah, it could have been something that's really quite small and got caught on a draft. And then as they zoom in, it just looks so much bigger than it actually is. Yeah, what did you think of that one?
Yeah. Did it go behind the trees? I couldn't quite make it out.
Do you want me to play it again?
Yes, please. Yes. How many objects can we see, guys? There's one. I saw one on the normal speed one. I'm sorry, I'm going to move in closer. Do apologize. Yeah, 1, 2, 3. Oh no, there's something that flew towards the second one. What was the first one? Did the first one change direction?
Well, I'm going to be honest with you. I haven't looked at this one closely because I've been more.
Can you play it from like the slow-mo bit?
Yeah. What I was just thinking, actually, I have got this saved as a video, so I'm gonna rather than do screen sharing, I'm just gonna actually try and see if I can load it as a video. That way, I might be able to zoom in a little bit. Here we go. Right, it's there, Monty.
Let me get sound now. I'm going to watch that first one to see if it changes direction, because there's definitely something that flies towards the second one just as it gets to the edge of the screen. Right, there's that first one. Is this the same video as before?
Is this the same video? Yeah.
It seems to
Exactly.
leave trails behind it.
Yeah. So let us know in chat. Evening, Sean.
Good evening, Sean. How are you, sir?
Yeah, so let us know in chat what you guys think about that one. I'm going to kick off the discussion. So initially, when I first looked at this one, I was thinking to myself, okay, maybe seen plenty like this. And, first of all, I'll say what's good about it, because the object that we're seeing is not, we've seen plenty of footage where the object is coming at the craft. So therefore, from a speed point of view, it's always difficult to get an exact speed, because if one object is moving at such a speed and the other object can even be stationary but still appear to move past really, really quickly due to physics, right? Whereas this is coming from the side. So the speed at whatever it is that's caught on camera here, you know, it is its speed. It's not about what I was just talking about. So, but then there's a lot of pieces of footage like this and similar that we've seen where it could quite easily be like an insect over the screen. a smaller insect on the lens of the camera, so on the picture it appears much bigger than it is and fills the screen, and then it also
Yes,
appears
it
to
could
move
be a
really, really
fly
fast.
flying like about a meter away from the camera. Could be like just like a fly.
Yeah, so that was my initial sort of like maybe thinking, and then the thing that I think you can eliminate is a bird, because again that speed thing that we're picking up on isn't due to a physics thing that I was just talking about. It is just that speed, and I think somebody on the comments in this has kind of had a look at it and said the bird would need to be going like something like 600 kilometers per hour or something to cover that distance,
Mach like 3.
in that time. So sort of that kind of quite cleverly eliminates a bird. But with the insect thing, when you then go on, so what I especially found interesting about this video, and I'm just going to stop sharing a minute, is that on that same post where the video is posted, it's similar to you, Monty, which I find is really, really interesting how people have engaged this, which is good. And in the comments, people have picked up exactly what you picked up, that there's multiple objects on there. Why is it not bringing up the share screen option?
There's the main one, then there's a second one, and as the second one leaves frame, another one flies towards the second one.
Oh, this is annoying.
I was just trying to pick it out in the video, but I couldn't quite get there before you took it off. Yeah, we could see her do the maths, Chris, but I don't think we will. No.
For some reason, it's not bringing up. You know, when you go to do share screen, and it brings up that box, and it's not coming up with that box. It's like StreamYard stopped giving me the option to share.
Yeah, that's not good, is it?
It's not. The only way I can think to fix it...
Maybe switch it off and switch it back on again.
Well, yeah, that would be pretty much me. What's it do if I do video file? It's allowing me to do video file, but the file that I want to share isn't a video, so it's a picture. But it's not even bringing up that box to allow me to...
Yeah, there is a third at the very end. I saw it, Chris. I was just trying to bring it up on the video, but maybe we'll be able to put the video up again in a bit.
The only thing I can think to do is leave studio and come back.
Yeah, just leave studio, close the browser, and then come back in again.
Okay.
And I shall fill with my news. So my news is not of any paranormal so much interest, but news from the last couple of weeks from the James Webb Telescope. I always give the latest from James Webb, and the latest thing that they shared was this picture that I'm just going to bring up on the screen whilst G's sorting himself out. Oh, there he's back. So this is the latest image from James Webb, and it is of a cool gas giant orbiting a star 12 light years away. And it's one of, I think, maybe 8. I think it's the 8th exoplanet that's been imaged directly, so you can actually see, the actual planet. I think it says here that it's 12 light years away. It's several times the mass of Jupiter, a gas giant that orbits a K-type star, Epsilon Indi A, which is about the same sort of star as our sun. So yeah, it's just a pretty cool image of an actual planet. It's just amazing that we've got to a point now where they have to The host star epsilon is actually where the star symbol is, but a bit like if you're in a dark room and someone shines a torch in your face, you can't see anything. They have to blot out the host star so they can actually see the stuff in the star system. So that's the star is hiding behind that star symbol there, and so it's just pretty cool. So G's back, so we'll go back to.
Yeah, I was just going to say, because there's a few people that have joined us that I didn't notice. So evening to Kevin as well. Thank you everyone for coming along, considering it's an impromptu date that we've done this. But just to mention, because I know some of you joined after I explained the game this evening. So after we've done the news, I will re-explain the game again. Yeah. For those of you that joined a little bit later, so you know what's going on. So my picture that I was trying to share is already to share, Monty. And just to recap, so yeah, basically in the comments to the original post of the video, there's quite a few people who, so this is one person who shared a picture in there, like a still of it, and where they circled the two objects so that they could see two objects. Like, it was really interesting that straight away you kind of mentioned, there's two objects. And then here's another example of.
Could you just bring up the original video again as a video?
Yeah, 2 seconds. Let me just share this one a minute. So then this is the next one. Is that up on screen? It's ready to share.
Oh, you bought some. Yes, Sean's got some cool. That's the third one that I mentioned. Yeah, okay, you've done it already. Yeah, so there's one that heads in that direction, like where the arrow's pointing there, and meets the second one as it flies off.
Well, yeah, this isn't me. This is just other people that have commented to the original post, and this is a separate person, so they've not then shown where it's later. But obviously, what's interesting is people are picking up multiple objects on this footage. Now, that is the only thing for me that goes a little bit against then the theory of an insect, because it would be really, really rare that in one shot like this you would get multiple of the same. But maybe there's a whole swarm of midges around this area where they're filming.
Yeah,
it is the US. Who knows?
If I saw it go behind the trees or behind one of the clouds or something, then it would have been more definitive. But the fact that it doesn't go behind anything and it just comes in and out of shot, kind of doesn't give us that extra layer of,
But let me bring up the video again. Just hope this doesn't wreck the whole sharing thing again. Here we go. It's ready to bring up.
I'll tell you, just for Sean, as you can see, I've got acoustic tiling all over my room. I have tried multiple different things to put it up. Double-sided sort of adhesive tape. I've tried these little sticky tab things that you can get, and the best thing I have found, the only thing that I can get to stick it up, is literally just PVA glue. The kind of glue you used to use in school, the white glue. Cover back in PVA, sticks up nice. That's the only thing I found that actually gets them to stay on the wall, else they just keep falling off. Right pain in the ass. Anyway.
So Kevin in chat has made a good point. Did people on the ground react to it? Let's see if they do. But then again, you can barely see it at normal speed. So
yeah, there's the first one. And here comes the second. And then if you just at the end, there's the third.
Yeah. Now, what's really interesting, just again to sort of debunk the insect theory a little bit, is, well, I guess it could just be happenstance that the insect is flying away. But it's certainly that first one that came up. It starts off, if you look at it on the left-hand side of the screen, it's quite big, and it gets smaller.
Does it go
smaller.
behind that? I don't know. I don't think it does go behind the.
But where you're saying about going behind the clouds, I get what you're saying about the trees, but the clouds is a bit of a reach because it just may not have been going in that direction. But you can see it get smaller.
Yeah.
But again, if it was like a big insect, like a bee or something like that, and it was, but again, it's not the right. If the bee was that close to whatever's going on, it wouldn't. I don't know. I'm not, as I said, when I first watched this video, I thought straight away, well, that's quite a common and easy explanation to go to. But there's just a couple of other things that come into it that don't make me so solid just to go, oh yeah, that's an insect.
You can see the second and third one together there. Look. Yep.
I mean, the other thing that I did consider is it could be a military drone. And it could be multiple of them.
Could be loads of drones. Yeah, it could be a number of drones, I guess.
And again, it'd have to be military to be moving at the speed of which we see it on the real time on the camera, because I don't think there's any general commercial ones that go those sorts of speeds.
Red Bull's got a really fast one.
Yeah, but it would be, for them using that, it would be a totally different kettle of fish than somebody just average Joe going out and using a drone. They'd have to get all sorts of, air clearance and stuff like that, because you think if you crash one of those at that sort of speed into somebody, you're going to kill them straight away.
Yeah.
Like if that came out of the sky at that speed. So I think that's why there's all this stuff about it. But keep letting us know in chat what you thought about that one. Just seeing if anybody said anything interesting in chat whilst you have a look at that. I'm just going to bring up the next piece of. So I said that I had three to discuss with you. This is the last one, and I've saved the best for last. Now this one isn't a video. This one is pictures.
Yeah, it's Chris. Carpet glue spray. That's a good shout. Yeah. Okay.
So picture is ready to share. So this is like the initial picture that's shared. And you're not looking at the object that's in the water. That's a dog.
Oh, okay. I was thinking it's Godzilla. It's a very small Godzilla. Maybe it's Godzuki.
I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually no. What I'll do is I'll share the next photo. So this is the same photo, but zoomed in a little bit more, which I could have probably just done on the original, to be fair. But let me show it as I've said.
You did have a zoom in scrolly thing there. You could.
Yeah, I'll maybe go back and do that in just a mo. Just share this one first of all. So now so the dog is still in the picture. You can clearly now see it's a dog with a stick in its mouth.
And there's that dot on the horizon. Yeah, I saw that on the horizon.
Yeah. Want to have a closer look at that dot?
Yeah.
Jesus, let me try and. Where's that picture? Where have I got it? So many things open. No, that's the original. That's the one I want. Move it down like that. There we go. And then back to it. And then zoom again. You seeing that good on camera now?
Yeah.
Getting in really close. Okay, so what I want to do, I'm just going to quickly bring up my end. If you want me to share this on screen, I will do. But just a picture of this one here. And this always piques my interest when it comes to stuff like this. And I'm sorry, I'm just trying to get back to the stream myself. This one has actually been officially reported to Norfolk or Newfolk. That's the National UFO Registered Community or something. That's based in Newfolk. But basically, yeah, they're based in the US. So if you were reporting a UFO sighting in the US, you go to these guys, and or these this is one way in which you can report it. But apparently, it occurred on the 25th of November in 2023. Duration is momentary high-speed pass. Number of observers 1. Location is Brinnon, Washington, USA. So Brinnon is spelled Brinnon. Location details: beach across water, 1 o'clock. Position in pictures, zoom image. Shape, disc. Color, gray, dark shadow below. Estimated size, car perhaps. Viewed from land. Direction from viewer was east. The angle of elevation was 10. The closest distance, miles, they guessed it anywhere from 2 to 5 miles. Estimated speed, 500 miles per hour. Characteristics, aura or haze around object. The person that's done the report has commented that they were taking a picture of their dog, raising camera to zoom object, low, high-speed pass, push shutter repeatedly, got one image and was gone, silent. Cool, coldish day, reasonably clear. Vehicle backdropped by clouds. Don't know what they mean by that. Enough highway noise to mask the sound. There was no sonic boom at roughly about 500 miles per hour. And in zoom appears to have a field around it. I'll try and get in closer so you can see this maybe suggested field.
Kevin says MUFON.
Yeah, well, obviously, Kevin, you missed the beginning of the show, but
Yeah.
one of the things that's delayed me is because my next G-Star Vault is about 2 sightings that I've actually had this year. Only one of them I caught on camera, but both of them I've reported to MUFON, and MUFON have come back to me wanting some more details on the second one. But there's a number of different places. So, like my sightings, I reported them both to Enigma and to MUFON. But the NUFORC is another establishment that you can report them to. But do you see the field around it?
Well, it's
Like a little
difficult
bit
to
of a
tell.
white. Yeah, this is the thing. It pixelates.
Pixelates.
It's hard to-
I'd like to have seen the 2 pictures either side, because he said he took a number of pictures.
No, what he said
Didn't he?
was that he had it on raising the camera to zoom object, low high speed pass, pushed the shutter repeatedly, got one image and was gone. So what he meant is that he kept the finger down on the shutter, taking like loads of pictures, but
Yeah.
only because it was so fast. Only
I know.
managed to
I'd
catch it
like
on
to
one frame.
see the pictures either side of the one that captured
right,
it,
okay.
to show the dog move slightly and that not be there, just to prove that it was fast. Because what I'm thinking is, you get those illusions on the sea where you have like flying ships,
Yeah,
or floating islands, or floating rocks or things, because you get that sort of like is it warm air on the ocean creates like a
so this could
like
have
a
been
mirage,
a boat.
and there are I probably could find one. Here, so you end up with things like this, where in the very distance you have floating ships.
Yeah.
So, but if it was like a floating ship, if it was something like that, it wouldn't have zoomed past, would it? So having the dog in the water move slightly either side of the main photo that you took would prove that it was a fleeting thing and not like a ship in the distance. It would have just, cancelled out that wandering,
It's a good point, and it is a possible explanation. I'm completely aware of the phenomena. When I looked at this, though, I didn't I didn't really see that, but now that you raise it as a point, that's definitely something for consideration because it is sitting in that perfect spot.
It's that
if
height
it's
that
like
you always see these images at, you know, from the you know, that sort of thing.
I don't know. You've always, I guess, in this game, it is a bit like. I keep finding it hard to find my way back to the stream. There we go. It's because you've got stuff up on the screen.
Sorry,
Right now.
I'll stop.
No, it's fine. Believe it or not, Monty, that's where the Flying Dutchman ship tale comes from.
Ah, is it really? The Flying Dutchman. Wow. Yeah, I guess it would be. That would be it, wouldn't it?
I think,
Crazy.
you know, so what I was just about to say is like sometimes I think you've got to get into the potential psyche of people. That is, I guess, especially in this current day and age, really important. But you know, if you think that this was somebody who's taken a picture of their dog that had jumped into the water, saw that there was a boat in the distance, and you know where this boat was positioned, it made it look like on their camera that it was like a flying saucer on the screen. And then, so they've caught it by complete accident. They've not set it up. They've just caught it, and oh, that looks like you. And then go to the effort to go and put all of the information, time, dates, on a UFO sighting report site, just for a bit of fun. Like, I don't know. It just, it's, you know, some people might get their kicks at, you know, certain ways. I don't know. But this one to me, just because, and I guess the only thing I can say to you is why I didn't instantly go to what you were talking about is because the shape of the craft to me, again, actually, could you bring up some of those images again? There's something I just want to look at.
As Chris says in live chat, though, it doesn't look like a boat, does it?
No, but then it is quite blurred because it's quite off in the distance. So, but I just want to look at, see if we can find something that's of a similar size, because obviously that's a massive kind of like tanker.
Yeah, I don't know.
It'd be nice to get one with the smallish boat.
Look at that. That's not small. That's not small. That's not. Yeah, they're all like tankers, aren't they?
I guess if you go up to that one, like, oh, this one here, just on this line where your cursor is now.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, that one is a boat where it's got like, I don't think it's got a black bottom to it. It's probably a dark blue or something like that. But on camera, it comes out as black, and then a white top. Now that one seems quite close because we can make the detail out on the ship. But let's go back to our picture. Because obviously, if I can bring back up the... No, I can't until you stop doing what you're doing.
I can't find a small one, unfortunately.
That's fine. What I want to do, while we're quickly thinking about that...
We need to get on with our game.
Yeah, sorry. Just give me 2 seconds. So I'm going to go back to the image in its original format. It's ready to share. So obviously, you know, it's really off in the distance because on the original shot without any zoom in, it's barely detectable. You can't see it. It's only when you go in really close. Goodness gracious. But what I'm trying to lean towards is the black bottom and the white top. So I don't know. The jury's out for that one on me, but the shape of the object just caught my interest a lot.
But if you imagine one of those containers ships that we just saw, but not coming across us, actually like going away from us, you know, so we're just looking at the back of it.
Yeah, there's actually one there just underneath the main picture that's on there now that looks pretty similar.
That one? Oh, I can't click that screen. That one?
No. Sorry, if you go back a page, just hit you back
Oh, what have I done?
on the one that's already highlighted. Yes, that's one. That one. Yeah, that's almost looks similar.
Yeah, if you imagine that, going even more away from us.
Much further.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but I just thought it was interesting, and it's always nice to pick one out where it's been properly reported as well. I'm not saying that always makes it, genuine, but it certainly adds a little bit more of a different dimension to it. But yeah, that was my news. One sighting there happened in 2023, but the majority of them had just happened.
Yeah, Sean's now not comparing me to Omid Jali. I now are being compared to Uncle Albert. During the war.
From
It's my Uncle Albert impression.
Oh yeah.
During the war. All right, then, son.
You got the same curly beard.
Yeah.
It sort of goes out like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right. So, shall I just remind everybody of the rules of this game?
Do it.
Okay. So, we've got 4 wheels. On each wheel, there's going to be 8 categories. We're going to spin the wheel. We're going to decide in a minute who's going to go first, Monty or myself. And whatever category it lands on, we've got to try and find something to talk about in that that maybe we know of completely or we vaguely know of, and we want to ask the other person to Google it and look it up and share it and discuss it. And if we do a good job of finding something to discuss, we get 10 Montes on points. But it may be that I can't think of anything under that subject. I don't know anything. And so therefore, I'm going to ask the audience. And if one of you guys know something that, really interesting to talk about that genre, then, you get 10 Montes on points. Even if we don't ask the audience, you could still drop something in chat. And if it's something that's really cool that piques our interest and we go in and look at it in more detail, I'll award you 10 Montes on points as well. But yeah, so then we'll see at the end of the game, all the games, who's got the most points. If one of us can't do anything and the audience can't come up with anything, can pass it over to the other person. So like I can pass it over to Monty and see if he knows something to talk about in that subject matter. So the first subjects, do you want to read out the first subjects that are on the first wheel, Monty?
Okay, the subjects on the first wheel are sea serpents, wicked witches, time travel, dragons, UFO abductions, and voices from the grave. This is going to be the game show of how useless is Monteban. how empty is Monty's head?
Well, do you want to go first? Get it out of the way.
Go on then.
So this is Monty's spin. Let's see what category he lands on.
Let's see how many points I will not be getting tonight. Right, here we go. Okay, UFO abductions.
Oh, you got the best and easiest one.
Yeah. There's been a long and storied history of people being abducted by UFOs, and primarily, it would seem, people in the southern parts of the United States of America seem to be a preferable spot for aliens to pick up their humans for study and for experimentation. Along with mutilating the odd cow and things like that. I think it really kicked off in the sort of early to mid 1900s after World War II, for whatever reason, around the time of the Roswell incident, and there was a lot of paranoia going on in America at that time. Yeah. Could it be a government psych ops Yes.
Do-
Could
do
the
you know if
government be
any-
experimenting on them and their own population? Who knows? Were anal probes really in use? I don't know.
Well, here's an interesting fact that I'm just going to drop in there to help Monty out.
As you can
There
tell, I
have
know
been
nothing about.
recently some comparisons or some, what I should say, analysis about the dates of, you know, the trend of UFO abductions and then mass vaccinations.
All right.
So yeah, so just feeding into that, is it a government psyop? Is it governments that have been taking people and testing on people and using certain ways to track or study people? But just to correct what Monty said, most of it is really, really good. But the first UFO abduction that was ever reported was from Betty and Barney Hill, which I covered on this channel, and that was in the 60s.
60s, was it? So
Yeah,
it was a
early
bit later than
70s
I
actually.
thought.
No, I think it was early 70s actually. If you want to Google Betty and Barney Hill, I'm sure it was actually the early 70s, like 71 or something like that. And their report was the actual first official report of an abduction.
1961.
1961. I knew it was
Yeah.
one something.
So I let Google autocomplete there, and it gave me a list of things of Betty and Barney Rubble, which wasn't.
The first thing I just wanted to really point out, which I feel is important to me, is that the abduction phenomenon started about a couple of decades after Roswell and not around the same time as Roswell. So, and I think that's interesting in itself.
And I was kind of alluding to a lot of the abductions, or a number of them, being in the south of the United States, and this particular one was in New Hampshire. But that corresponds with like dark sky areas, doesn't it? You know, in the center of America, there's a lot of nothing, especially around the middle of the last century. There was a lot of nothing. So if you were a UFO and you wanted to come down, didn't want to be spotted by anything, then some rural outback place in the middle of America or Australia would probably be ideal location for it, wouldn't it?
Yes, I mean, you mentioned as well that a lot of UFO abduction reports are based in the sort of United States, and that is true to an extent, but it is a global phenomenon. There's a lot of thousands and thousands of reports of abductions all around the globe. It just happens to be that the vast majority of them come from the US, and two, most of the real famous and well-researched cases come from the US. So I've given Chris Smythe 10 Monte zone points because he's mentioned something in chat on top of the PSYOP, the government PSYOP thing. And he's also said the same as the guy in Fire of the Sky. So I appreciate you putting in that. Just to put a name on that, that's Travis Walton. And again, if you are skeptical about UFO abduction, if you were going to gravitate towards any decent documented reported case of UFO abduction, I would always direct people to the Travis Walton incident, because there's just so many people involved in that, and also things like lie detector tests and the fact that somebody actually went disappearing for 4 days, and all the people were out looking for this person and this logger, and so there's a lot of documented evidence around that case, which I think is incredibly interesting. So if you're going to read anything on that subject, read that.
What's the 440? The 440 is very interesting. Don't know if you looked into that.
I think it was a mistype. It's meant to
Oh.
be the missing 411.
Oh, right.
Maybe.
Yeah, oh, yeah. We've done a number of live streams on 411.
Let us know, Chris, if
let
that
us
was
know.
mistype, or that 440 is something that I've just not heard of about. What's Kevin said there? Does it coincide with the parallel lines like the 48th parallel line that goes across the US? Sorry,
Don't
I think
know.
that was an answer to something that Sean put in chat. Yeah, it was definitely something that Sean put in chat. Okay, yeah. So, anything else on alien abduction?
No,
Monty?
I'll let you spin the wheel now, shall I?
Oh, yeah. Do you feel you deserve your 10 points for that one?
No, not at all.
Okay, I'll let you be the judge of that.
Right, here we go.
Did you take UFO abduction off?
I did. Voices from the grave.
Voices from the grave. So obviously, when I put this one on there, I was thinking about, ghosts, and one of the phenomena that's really popular, certainly in the last sort of 3 or 4 decades, once equipment has come along with it, is people recording supernatural activity as well, not just from a visual recording but an audio recording, and it's a big thing now for people that are ghost hunters, that it's always important that they have speakers everywhere as well. Audio is a huge part of the process now, with things like what we shared on one of the Montes here, where I'd been out on location and done this thing with headphones on my head and blindfold on. So there's a lot of stuff about sound that's really important to the supernatural. But for me, one of the most conclusive voices from the grave, I find, is from the haunting, the Enfield haunting. So basically, there's a film that's been made by Hollywood, all about, well, several films, but one of the most recent one was Conjuring 2, right? And it features all around the American paranormal investigators that came over to the UK to investigate the activities that were going on in Enfield. And again, this was all like really publicized at the time. With the Enfield haunting, a couple of things that make it very different from other reports of hauntings is that police officers went into the property and saw things move without any explanation. Lots of people were involved in this. So you had people from the church that were involved in the Enfield investigation. And when I say investigation, this was all happening at the time that the chaos was going on in the house. You had paranormal investigators there, and then you had also skeptics and people that just didn't believe that it was just all one big scam for the family to try and bring some money in. So you had lots and lots of people involved in this investigation, and as one part of the investigation, they feature it on the film. And then if you're clever enough to stay and watch to the end of the film and past some of the credits, similar to like a Marvel film, what they do is they then start bringing up. So in the film, what they do is they depict what happened with the young girl who was possessed, and they did this interview with her. And they recorded it. And during this interview, in the film, they kind of make out that she's drank a glass of water. So there's no way that she could be manipulating the voice. But she kind of speaks like with an old man's voice. And if you listen to the real recording, it is really, really freaky. I don't know if we can try and bring it up from anywhere, Monty. I wouldn't even know where to start looking for that.
I don't know.
I don't know if it's on. I don't know if it would be on YouTube, like Enfield audio or something. Yes, Kevin, that's right. She was the one where there's photographs of her supposedly floating in the air. There's a lot of skeptical people that say that hell no, that's just been manipulated. She's just caught jumping through the air. But again, what you had is when all of this was being documented and recorded, you had a lot of people in the house on site that were there potentially to witness what was going on. And witnesses that were there say that she was levitating in the air, that she didn't jump off the bed. But the photograph, if you weren't there and you look at the photograph, it could easily be somebody jumping off a bed.
You're frightened of me. No.
This is a 9-year-old girl doing this voice.
Tell me who you are.
Is that it?
Yeah, that's
You're frightened of me.
that's all we got there.
I don't even know if that's the real one, to be honest with you.
No.
Don't know. That's,
Yeah, well, I mean, if we can't share it here and now, if you ever,
Let me hear you say my name. Come on, let me hear you say my name.
This is it.
That's not my name. Come on, my name's Morris. Let me hear you say it. Morris. Say Dr. Belloc. Come on, let me hear you say that. Come on. Let's hear you say Dr. Belloc. Could you close that door down? Say Dr. Belloc. What is it? Now, if you squeak the bed, I can't hear you talking. Now, say Dr. Belloc. Come on. Come on, say it for me, Dr. Belloc. Dr. Belloc.
Right, that's good. Hello. Shut up, that door. I'm 72 years old. I come from Jewett Park, graveyard.
That's the bit where he's saying,
And
I'm
I
82 years
I
old.
did a church where Rita lives. And all my friends come from there as well. And we all like okay.
I don't like it. I don't like
What?
that. I just don't like that.
Yeah, it is a bit freaky. Like I said, I think at the time of the interview, she was like 11 or something like that, or only a young girl, and yet on the recording, it just sounds like an old man talking through.
Yeah, I'm with Kevin. I'd be straight out of that house and never go back. Nope.
But
That's
it is
the
one of the most
nopiest nope I've ever
documented
noped.
I'm just interested. I mean, I'm not unhappy. Oh, and by the way, guys, don't forget to like the stream. That really, really helps. But I'm a bit confused. I've not been keeping up with chat. But Smiley's shared a link in the chat, a link to the Paranormal Vault session by the lads. What's that?
Oh, it's just me. It's just other related live streams, that we've done.
Oh, right. Okay. Yes, and I think somebody was asking earlier if we had covered something. Oh, that was it, the 411.
Yeah, she
And
posted
we
links.
have done several episodes on the
Yeah.
411.
Yep.
All the different variations of the 411. So yeah, check out our back history and you can find some really good discussion on those points. So that was my Voices from the Grave.
Very cool. Very cool.
Do you think I deserve 10 points for that?
Yes, you do.
Awesome. Right, so should we do one for the audience or just move on to wheel 2?
Right, let's do one for the audience.
Yeah, so we're going to spin the wheel, guys, and then in chat, if you know anything that's interesting about this particular subject, pop it in chat.
Here we go.
And we'll try and have a look.
What subject is live chat going to have to discuss? Dragons.
Dragons. That's a bit of a hard one.
Oh, I forgot to remove.
Not gonna lie.
That's
I
a
guess
pretty
I'm
tough one.
asking about, stuff that's in modern day, like, incidents and experiences. But anything you know about dragons, if you do know something, drop it in chat. That would be awesome.
I could have said something about sea serpents. I could have said something about wicked witches.
I'm sure we could have said something about time travel.
Yeah, I could have said something about time
we covered
travel.
that.
But dragons
isn't one that we've really covered on the Monte Zone, is it?
No.
And then the other one was Voices from the Grave, and then Wicked Witches. Again, we haven't really gone into the subject of witches in any great
No, I could have talked about the Salem witch trial.
But yeah, we could get more, some of the guys were saying back along from the Monte Zone that we did about Billy the Kid, that one of the things that we had some feedback that a lot of people liked is us, going through really historical information and found it useful, like almost learning. So maybe we do one on witches and sort of like the history of witches and like you said, the Salem witches and where it all came from and where it sits within history. Maybe we do that somewhere down the line. Kimono dragons is the first thing that Chris has dropped into chat. I don't know what he means by that. I'm at a loss about that. But I did see a video recently that came out. There's been quite a few over the years of this is camera footage. Oh yes, I know. Sorry, Komodo dragon.
It's a giant
footage of dragons flying through the air. But in a day of CGI and AI and whatever, it just, I don't know. It's a bit like a lot of other things now. You just really can't tell unless there's a lot of other evidential things to go along with it.
Yeah. I think they're really cool looking.
Whilst we're waiting to see if anybody in chat knows anything about dragons that they want to share, shall we move on to wheel number 2?
We can move on to wheel number 2.
So as we get into wheel number 2, do you now need to type them all in?
No.
Oh, you got it right. Oh, well, you are amazing.
I'm quick, boy.
You can talk through all the categories then.
Okay, this is wheel number 2. Does anybody else know anything about dragons? I learnt when my children were young how to train them via a very instructional cartoon, how to train your dragon. It's very useful. Anyway, yes, wheel number 2. We have advanced ancient civilizations, hauntings, Megalodon, Third Eye, Dead, Not Dead, and everybody's favorite, Bloodsuckers. Yeah. Kevin's seen a program about dragons, where every country has a legend of dragons, and they all say where they originally alien teachers. All have similar names, like Dodo in Africa. It was very interesting. Very cool. Yeah,
it's good to. Yeah, I guess that is a phenomenon that comes up in all sorts of history and different cultural backgrounds, which is interesting in itself, isn't it? Really, that commonality. A lot of people compared.
There was a crossover on that wheel as well, because you have Chinese dragons, which also could be classed as sea serpents. Because really, a Chinese dragon is actually a type of sea serpent.
I guess so. But Kevin, I'm going to award you 10 Monty points for that fact. And
it was a creatively shaped rock. Oh wow! Yeah. I think someone brought supposedly like a dragon skeleton or something to like a World's Fair in, I want to say like the 1830s or something. But it turned out to be a random collection of like bones from all sorts of different animals that he'd sort of placed to make it look like a dragon.
A really interesting point that Chris has just made there. I believe dragons were just dinosaur bones we dug up back in the days. It just had a thought. You know, because we all think about dinosaurs because, you know, the last 100 years, archaeologists have been digging them up and, you know, brushing them delicately and pulling out the skull. But, you know, there could have been people 2,000, 3,000 years ago coming across dinosaur fossils. And if you didn't know what we know today, you would just look at that and think, Christ almighty, there was dragons at one point here. Wouldn't
Yeah.
you? You pulled up a...
Sorry, Kevin mentions
really good
that
point.
Kevin mentions that Chinese have them, Japanese, and they all have some. And they actually know that Japanese have a water dragon called a Mizushi. Mizushi, yeah, Mizushi, which is if you break the name down, mi is water, zu is particle, and chi is spirit. So it's water particle spirits. One featured in the anime film Spirited Away. Haku in Spirited Away was a Mizushi, which is like a Japanese water dragon. So there you
go. Right. Okay. So just before we spin this one for the first time, Smiler's just put in chat, could dragons have been real? Is a stream by Weird Darkness and looks really cool. Do you want a link? Thank you for the offer, Smiler. But if it's a stream, we could be sitting there waiting for half an hour for them to get to the recorded subject. But thank
Lizard
you for the
men.
offer.
What were they called in India?
Do share the link if anybody else in
what are they called?
Wants to share it, but obviously after the live, the link will disappear. So maybe pass it to Monte to put into the description.
Lizard men.
Lizard men. That's more related to.
I'm thinking in like India. Is it Indian mythology where you got like half man, half serpent? What are they called?
I don't know, to be honest with you, but I know that
Nagas.
Oh yeah, I do recognise that name, but
yes, Chris Naga. There you go. I got there in the end. My head, my brain conjured them.
Giants.
Eh?
I thought that was more related to giants, Naga.
No, they're kind of like again, sort of human dragon-y things. They're sort of like half man, half lizard, half snake, something. Nagas.
Do you mind if I go first this time?
You go for it, mate. Right, I'll spin the wheel for you.
Oh, haunted again. Oh, God.
So you've covered that quite well, really, with the voices of the dead.
Trying to think of another one that's a popular known haunting. It's been really well documented. No, I mean, I can think of, we're based here down in Devon, and one of the most haunted locations, actually, it definitely sits within the top 10 for all United Kingdom borders, is a location called Barry Pomeroy. And we spoke about it on this channel before plenty of times. I think I showed an image back along that some students snapped of what looked like a what do they call them, the kind of ghosts that are on repeat. Can't remember it was like a horse. It looked like a person on a horse. Anyway, while Monty's looking for that, Barry Pomeroy is really, really famous for a couple of stories, but like a lot of castles and a lot of locations, certainly here in the UK, it's always quite typical about it's the white woman or the black dressed woman, etc. But it is,
Sorry, I was just looking around.
Sorry, I'm just trying to look at what Smiler's putting in chat. But yeah, so Barry Pomeroy is. Oh, could you keep that image up a minute? Is historically known for this tale of the White Lady, and I can't remember the exact story behind her. But I've gone out to this location, and so I'll talk you through my history of this location. So I used to visit it when I was a lot younger, teenager, early 20s, when it wasn't protected by the National Trust, and that you could quite easily creep into there in the middle of the night in the blackness and darkness. And it was incredibly foreboding place to be. Even if you were just there with your mates having some drinks and having a bit of a laugh, it was still foreboding.
I was with you.
Yeah, I know. For some of the times, we definitely did it together. And then I've been back as an adult as well. It's very, very heavily protected by the National Trust now, and it's got big fences all around it. So it is quite. You can only get down there really at night time if you've got special permission by the National Trust, which they very rarely give out. But one of the interesting things that I photographed and documented in this location, if you wouldn't mind just going back to that picture of the house. So one of the things that's important about this as a ruin is that it's, that side of the building is almost like fully intact. The window frames are still in there, but all the rest of the house on the other side isn't. So as you can see, there's no roof. And therefore, at night, if you imagine you were stood in this spot looking up at the castle, and then you went 10 meters, 20 meters to your left, and the moon is shining through one of those windows. And I've actually caught it on photograph, but it can actually play tricks for your eyes, and it can quite easily look like somebody stood in the window wearing white. And it's all sorts of optical illusions that go on there. Also, this location is kind of in the middle of a valley, and it's got like a wooded area around it. And one of the other natural phenomenons that happen down there is that how the wind blows through it, it kind of makes this low kind of bassy hum sometimes. That sound that you get when wind is blowing through dense trees. So that and all the other pits down there kind of create this environment. I've been down there before where it just feels like somebody's in your ear going, that sounded more a little bit like a groan, but that sort of thing where it's just this intense kind of bass sound that is just continuing to repeat itself. But it is a very, very interesting location. And as I said, there was a photograph caught. There's other haunted tales at this location. Several that I'm trying to struggle remembering the type of ghost. Because you have poltergeist, you have it's not photographic ghost, it's residual. That's it, residual. So residual ghost is your type of ghost that you kind of see like in Harry Potter, where they're just doing the same thing, running through the same dining hall, going in and out, just kind of caught on the loop. And residual ghosts, apparently can't interact with them because they're just like on a record on a loop. And residual ghosts is one thing that I definitely feel very more confident about when it comes to the supernatural world than any other ghost type, because it kind of makes sense for me through like energies and vibrations and how different things work on our mind. But anyway, getting to the point, there was a photograph that I think it was taken around 2019, 2020, done by these students, and it looked like it caught like a residual ghost. And this image really looks like someone sat on top of a horse, like a knight on top of a horse. And it was really, really interesting. We covered it on one of the Monte zones.
Sorry.
What are you laughing at?
Vicky just shared a picture with me of a silhouette of a man being hung in Dartmouth. I'm just going to share. It's very good. There you go. Doesn't that look like a guy that's been pinned up to
yeah, nice example of an optical illusion. Yeah,
yeah.
natural optical illusion.
Yeah.
And this look, the location of Berry Pond I was talking about is just full of them. But it's a really, really good. And I would recommend people to go and visit that during the day as well. It's just a really great historical location. Yeah, so that's my quick rush attempt to do the haunting.
Well,
I wish I could find that picture. I might have it on one of the. While you're doing your section, I might see if I can find that picture.
okay, we've got Megalodon, Third Eye, Dead Not Dead, Bloodsuckers, and Ancient Civilizations. So yeah, this is going to be a long talk, people. Get ready for this. Bloodsuckers.
So that's vampires.
Yeah, I know nothing. I know nothing. I know zilch. Nothing. Mary Shelley had a really good imagination.
Well, it's funny that you say that because no, I don't want to interrupt until you.
No, that's it. I'm done. That was it. That was my whole thing.
Okay, well, the first step is to ask the audience. What do you know about bloodsuckers, or the history of vampires, or anything like that?
People in tribes that drink blood. Yeah, I guess. Yeah. Yep. So it's not too good for you to drink too much blood, I don't think. But, certainly did a lot of bloodletting during the Victorian era to solve many different ailments. So I don't know if maybe some of it came from that.
Maybe. So, you happy if whilst we're waiting for anybody to put anything else in chat, whether I jump in?
Mm-hmm. Did it start with Vlad the Impaler?
It was really,
asks Mickey.
yes, it was really interesting that you just said that Mary Shelley had like a really vivid imagination, because there's a lot of evidence that she actually took her inspiration from a true case of Vlad the Impaler, and there's recent adaptations of Dracula that have kind of integrated that more into the ethos and the story of Count Dracula. But he was this, really, as history tells us, this really terrible, gruesome ruler. And one of the things that he liked to do is he liked to drink the blood of some of his, victims or enemies. And I think the word spread through, how communication was in those days, and mostly just by word of mouth. And that created this kind of idea or this mythology. But again, it's covered in sort of popular culture. But if you go throughout history, it's a bit similar to what somebody was saying about dragons. Is that many cultures in the world have some sort of myth or mythology around blood drinkers. And I think that as a combined team, we've kind of hit the answer on the head there. That, not just Vlad the Impaler, but, it's quite known, cannibalism. Like, cannibalism isn't really a thing, really. Like, there isn't that many tribes in the world that actually participate in cannibalism.
There's that island, isn't it? That island that you're not allowed to go on.
Yeah, but even tribes like that, they don't they participate in cannibalism as a very ritualistic thing that's every once in a blue moon. Because the reason is that you cannot eat on human flesh without the risk of things are going to go awry, right? We're not made to eat each other. So it makes people like sick and, does all sorts of nasty things to people.
The problem is
The
problem is we're at the top of the food chain. So all of the bad things that accumulate in fish and in herds of animals and things all filter the way up. You know, heavy metals and things, and lots of bad stuff filter up to the top of the food chain. So if you eat the top of the food chain, you're going to be ingesting all of those bad things that it ingested from everything underneath it. And unfortunately, yeah, so eating lots of human is not a good move. It's not good for your diet. Nope.
Oh, sorry. I'm just trying to.
She's turned off again.
The guys in chat are so active. It's like I'm trying to keep up with what they're saying, but I'm just trying to hone in on what Chris was saying there. Lies. To be honest, he was a Christian fighting for the Ottoman Empire. Who are you referring to there? It's that
Vlad the Impaler.
But what I was about to get to is that you know, the use of sort of blood within sacrifice. So again, throughout sort of a lot of South America and the early Inca and Aztec tribes there, it is, you know, quite historically documented that they enacted sacrifices, sometimes on animals, sometimes on humans, but blood always played a really important part of the process. So I think in a lot of cultures, there's always been this element of blood related to religious events or sacrificial events, and therefore led to these myths or this history of people who devour blood, I guess. And for me, I think what's interesting is that it's everywhere around the world in history. It's not just in, say, for example, Transylvania or Eastern Europe or whatever.
Well, you know, Vlad the Impaler, surname was Dracul. And yeah, it looks like he fought a campaign against the Saxons in Transylvania, slaughtering them all. So, you know, having Dracula feast upon the citizens of Transylvania, yeah, it all lines up, doesn't it?
Yeah, I can't remember which film. It certainly wasn't Bram Stoker's Dracula, the one with Gary Oldman in it. Although that was an enjoyable film, it wasn't that one. There was another later version, which I think did a great depiction of it being sort of, you know, very Vlad the Impaler kind of guy. And I can't remember what that version was called. It might have just simply been Dracula. But it was more recent. It was more modern than the Gary Oldman version.
There were popular stories referring to him as Dracula from as early as the 15th century. He himself signed his name with Dracula. So there you go.
This was your subject, wasn't it? Not mine?
Yeah, sorry. Oh, it was interesting, though.
But for me, it's hard for me to separate the idea of bloodsuckers from fantasy to, you know, potential reality in history, because I'm such a huge fan and have been for very many years of Anne Rice. And so I've read all the Vampire Chronicles. I must confess, I've watched all of the Vampire Diaries and all of the Twilight films. And yeah, I absolutely love the mythology of vampires and the idea that goes behind it. But I definitely kind of connect it with fantasy, so I don't really look into the history of it. But yeah, awesome, romantic. I think Anne Rice just makes vampires just seem so beautiful and eloquent that, you know, you just want to be one. You just end up reading her books and go, oh my god, I wish Lestat would come and find me and bite me on the neck.
Yeah, I didn't think that.
Yeah.
I wonder how much of it as well is after he was defeated, and you know, how much of it is like bad propaganda by the subsequent victors, you know.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if Chris has been serious, but it'd be interesting to look into that. If like he's been given a false image of, throughout history of who he was. But
Yeah.
so Kevin said in chat, there was a lady in a castle who drank the blood of people to stay young, but it didn't work. But true story, I'm sure.
I'm sure there's a lot of Hollywood celebrities that do similar things. JK.
Yeah, again, I don't know if it was Chris that made that other point, but he said in the old days, the fart and moans of the dead and the bloating made them think they were still alive, so they would nail them and such. Yeah, I mean, again, you think about the fact that if you were to rewind like 800 years ago, there was a lot of cultures, especially ones that were nomadic or tribal in essence, where they're always on the move, that they would bury them not too deep and then, do a quick burial. And so they're not that far underneath the surface, and then their bodies start to bloat and lose air and move, and so therefore you can have the creation of the myth of zombies and the walking, the undead and things like that. So all lots of interesting stuff that possibly came from a time or an era where we were scientifically uneducated and didn't know why that certain things happened. Interesting.
Right, let's see what topic the audience gets. What are you going to get, audience? Let's see what you know about dead, not dead.
So dead, not dead is all about people that have been reported to be dead, but they're not dead. Let us know about any evidence or interesting stories or cases that you've heard of outside of the norm.
It's probably the bloating and the fart noises and such.
So you struggled at first there, Monte, with the old bloodsuckers, but I think given that you didn't really know anything, you reclaimed it back really well. So I'm going to give you the 10 Montes on points.
Oh, thank you.
And do you think I deserve the 10 for the haunting?
Oh, definitely, yes. Yeah.
Oh, amazing. Thank you. Cool.
Elvis was Sean's suggestion.
That's obviously a very common one.
Yeah.
But the most recent one that's come up around that.
He was born in 1935, so he would now be what's that then? 65, 75, 85. Oh, he'll be 90 years old next year, if you're still alive. 89, 90 next year.
See, the last show we really, really covered dead, not dead, very, very in a lot of detail. Because that was a famous case of Bushy Bill Roberts or Billy the Kid, dead, not dead.
Yeah,
Hitler.
dead, not dead.
Yes, well done, Kevin, getting the 10 points right in there. That's a really good one, because there's a big thing that has emerged, not so much right after World War II, but certainly in the last sort of 40 years or so, that there's this theory that Hitler didn't ever get killed, and the theories vary differently, but some people say that he possibly ventured to South America. The most popular one is that he went to Antarctica.
Yeah.
Because of the Nazis' involvement, or a lot of stuff that's been found out that Nazis were doing weird stuff in Antarctica even during the World War II.
There's a lot of Nazis went to Argentina, though, didn't they?
Correct. Yeah. So that's why it's that's one of the top locations that he's felt to have slipped away to. But yeah, there is evidence. I mean, the thing that kind of supports that a little bit is there is documented evidence that Hitler used to use lookalikes at certain events for safety. Because even in his own country, he was like a well-hated man. So
I think it was the Top Gear art. Was it the Patagonia special? Was it that one where they went to like a German town in the middle of Argentina, and it is like they only speak German. All the signs are in German. The houses are all like quaint German homes, and it is like a little pocket of Germany slap bang in the middle of the Argentinian like rainforest. It's bizarre.
We've got another one there that I missed from Chris. It said 2-pack. He's right. There was some conspiracy that popped up sort of 10 years or so ago about 2-pack, but it didn't really find its legs, and there's not been really anything massively to back it up. So I'm going to give you 5 Monty Zone points for that one, because I still think that's very relevant.
Kevin Worrell says Maxwell. Robert Maxwell. So
he meant to?
He drowned. So he fell off the back of his super yacht. He was in the Med or something, and supposedly drowned, but he was never recovered or anything. And just before he died, he cashed out, was it the News of the World, I think? All the newspapers he owned. He cashed out like the retirement pot. So he left all of News of the World's employees without a pension fund. He raided the pension fund and then died by drowning after falling off his yacht. And so there was conspiracy theories for a long time that he took the money and then faked his own death. And I don't know, was hiding out in some compound somewhere in the world. But I mean, he'd be dead now, but yeah, nobody ever found him.
Guys are doing really, really well here. I don't know if Kevin's referring to Maxwell when he says even the FBI said he was in South America, or he's referring to Hitler.
I think maybe Hitler.
I'd be interested to see if there is any documentation from the FBI that they said that he was in South America. But I've issued another 10 Monty Zone points to Chris, because that's a great one that he's brought up about Walt Disney. But I'm giving you the 10 points, but again, it's one of those conspiracies that there's not a huge amount to back it up. But there's this conspiracy that Walt Disney had himself frozen.
Yeah.
But no evidence has ever been presented to back that up. Anyway, I think you guys covered that really well. Lots of points being dished out there. So shall we hit the third wheel?
Let's go to the third wheel. Woman.
They're getting more and more difficult, some of them, so you might struggle. Might be. There's a couple that I'd be like, oh, I just don't know what to talk about.
Some similar-y kind of sounding ones as well. So, this is wheel number 3. We have UFO crash, alternate dimensions, ghost on a camera, Illuminati and the New World Order, Bigfoot, or alive but dead. I'll go first, shall I?
Yeah, it's your turn to go first this time. I just want to bring attention to the comment that Smiler's just put. She loves her dad jokes, just ask Smiler. Gee, Walt Disney frozen? ? I think you should let it go. Very good, Smiler. Very good.
Very good.
Oh, you've got alternate dimension. That's a hard one.
Alternate dimensions. Well, since we got into the quantum world and that, there's the many worlds theory, and that there are an infinite number of alternate dimensions all running in parallel. That every direction of an atom that can possibly take spawns an infinite number of different dimensions. And yeah, some people think that periods of time goes by when these alternate dimensions intersect, and we end up on a different dimensional line. So we remember things. It's the Mandela effect. That we've talked about a number of times on the stream.
if you just want to,
Like Blue Ribbon chocolate bars was the last one that I mentioned. The fact that those blue wafer bars that you had in the 80s when we were kids, they weren't called Blue Ribbon, they were called Blue Riband. And I was like, what?
yes, there's one about a cereal as well that is very similar. That people think that they remember a cereal being.
There you go, quantum
what was
mechanics. There you go. The many worlds
Yeah,
interpretation.
Yeah, I brought it up for you.
Yeah, there we go.
Thought it might be useful to read it from. Yeah, bloody hell! What cereal was it? It was to do with the picture of the animal on the cereal, or something like that, where everybody always thought they were wearing a hat and they weren't wearing a hat. But yeah, it's strange.
You know, and it's the old Schrodinger's cat, you know, in a box that so things in a quantum state can only actually sort of resolve themselves when they're being observed. Then they're kind of the direction of an atom cannot be determined. It could be going in any direction until it's observed, and then once it's observed, that atom is going in that direction. That's the thing, and it's likened to Schrodinger's cat, where the cat in the box could be alive or dead. Before you look in the box, it's quantifiably in either state, alive and dead. It's both alive and dead at the same time, and it's not until you open the box and observe the cat and see whether it's alive or dead that it actually then has the state of, oh, the cat jumped out of the box, it's alive. But it's that observation, the act of observation, that makes it the thing, and that's the thing that sort of can spawn sort of multiple universes. That kind of theory.
Do you think at this point, when we talk about alternate dimensions, Kevin's put it's Cocoa Pops? Yeah, maybe. And it was like apparently.
Sorry, what was it? See if I can find it. What was the thing?
Well, no, I was just Cocoa Pops or the I think he said Cocoa Pops. Yeah. I was just going to mention, you know, like when we say alternate dimensions, do you think now we're talking beyond like Einstein's dimensions? Like, because is it 3 or 4 that there's meant to be space, time, whatever? So if you're going to then say an alternate dimension, it's a dimension that's not one of those. Do you think now we've got to that point where that's what we're saying?
Well, yeah. It's like there's an infinite number of dimensions spawning off from that.
Yeah. I think what I just want to go to something that Kevin said in chat. He said alternate dimensions. And I meant to put that in chat right after, but it didn't post. He said alternate dimensions would explain a lot. And I put, yeah, agree, Kevin. But the thing is, as well, because that same similar thinking, the theory of alternate dimensions has seemingly in the last sort of decade or so bled its way into a lot of different phenomena as a use of explanation. And I think part of the reason for that is because the conversation of dimension, alternate dimensions, does come from quite a scientific place and a scientific background. So it kind of like when people start talking dimensions, all of a sudden, like maybe a lot of people think that it's got this like then scientific stigma attached to it or something. Do you know what I mean? Do you get what I'm saying? It's like the Bigfoot thing, you know, and a lot of people saying that, you know, maybe Bigfoot's not a biological creature, that maybe it's an alternate, you know, and again, it's like it's bled into UFOs. Like UFOs aren't the reason why we don't like find a UFO base or something somewhere or whatever, because they're not actually from this dimension. They're traveling from an alternate dimension. So they're not actually having to.
Oh, hello.
Well, hello?
Oh, so you froze then for a sec, so yeah.
Oh. yeah, so I just find that it's bled its way into a lot of other phenomena.
I know you find it fanciful, but I quite like the alternate, the dimensional jumping Bigfoots kind of makes sense to me. The fact that we don't find any like feces or like other paraphernalia along with them makes sense that if they traversed.
Yeah, I apologize if it came across as if like I didn't believe in that. I'm just pointing out the fact that it's found its way into a lot of different, a lot of different genres and Bigfoot.
Oh no, I just know when we've talked about it before on other streams, you weren't a big fan of that theory.
Yeah, but I wouldn't say I'm completely closed to it. I'm just saying that I think the biological needs to be explored a little bit more and but yeah, I'm still, like many things, I'm still open to it.
Yeah. If you have an infinite number of monkeys and an infinite number of rooms with a typewriter, with an infinite number of typewriters, eventually there is a monkey that will will type out the sonnets of Shakespeare. Eventually.
Where's that come from?
I don't know. It's just one of those things, isn't it? With the
you just read that out of chat because Chris has just put that in chat.
Oh, is he? Oh, yeah.
For every option you can take, there's an infinite realities created. This reality can't just create itself as you go.
Yes.
Oh, it's not exactly the same as what you said.
Yeah, it's more than that. It's like I saw, the direction of an atom is only the direction that it's set on. Once you've observed it, the atom could be going in every other direction. And each one of those directions for every atom, for every, millisecond or whatever, could spawn an infinite number of universes throughout the entire universe. It's a crazy thought, anyway.
In answer to Smiler, I'm going to make a guess, and I'm going to say yes, Mickey Mouse does have a tail. But again, you're right, there's a lot of Mandela effects.
He does have a tail. Yes, he does.
I've given 10 points to Chris for that. I love that little statement that you put there in chat. But I've also given you 10 Monty points as well because I think you did really well on that alternate dimension and making the conversation flow.
Yes. If you shuffle a deck of cards, eventually the order is unique. No other deck of cards has ever been the same. No, if you shuffled a deck of cards and have been doing it since the beginning of the universe, 14 billion years ago, and you deal out like a hand every few seconds, you'd still wouldn't have come up with any duplicate decks. That's how random it is. Yeah.
Wow, well, before we got to that point, I'm sure the actual deck of cards would have worn away.
Well, after 40, yeah.
Right, is it me to spin? Have I still got a spin on this one? On wheel number 3?
Yes.
Let's do it.
Let's take alternate dimensions off. Let's spin for G's topic. What has he got? You got ghosts again. Ghosts on camera.
Why can't I see the wheel?
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
You're gonna have to spin it again because I didn't see the spin.
Why is that not working? There, just to prove it. Look, it's still up.
Ghosts on camera.
Yes.
So,
shall I spin it again? Because you've talked about ghosts like every other time. You kind of
okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna take that off because you've done that. Here we go. Let's have a proper. You can see the wheel spin now. Look. Oh, and look what you got.
Bigfoot. But that's the problem, is that I didn't want this one because I've pretty much talked about everything that I know about a Bigfoot. But what I will say, and again, after the show, I'll put a link to the into this episode. But one of the people that I follow, and I don't know if you guys do, and if you don't, you should check his channel out. It's a great channel. Mountain Beast Mysteries, which is this guy called Justin from Canada. And he did a recent video just going back to the Patterson Gimlin footage. And it wasn't an analytical video or anything like that. It was more of the reality of things. Like, it was more about creating this question of black and white rather than removing the blur. Because that footage from Patterson and Gimlin is one of the most heavily analyzed and scrutinized pieces of footage. And there isn't anything either way. So when I say either way, there isn't anything that can expose it as a fake or a hoax that's ever been able to be proven about that footage. And obviously, because it's very difficult, and because all of us weren't there with Patterson and Gimlin in 1967 in that creek in California, we can't say for 100% sure that it did happen. But one of the things you can conclusively say about that footage is that no matter who's got hold of it, whether it's, photographic experts, biology scientists, blah, 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 nobody is being able to present any evidence that would discredit it and say that, or prove that it is a hoax or a fake. There's been lots of stories and nonsense around it. Like, some guy came forward in the, I think it was in the early mid-70s or early 80s, and said that he was the guy in the suit. And then, people then had to prove that he was lying because it was proven through records that he was in a completely different part of the US at the time when the footage was filmed. So, but here's the point, and what Justin was trying to make the point of in his video. If you accept that you can't disprove that that's not some hairy creature in that footage, then it pretty much kind of says that, hold on, something does exist. Now, whether you believe that's an interdimensional creature that's here and then gone, or something that's biological and stays here all the time, it's like, ignore everything else that you've ever seen or read about Bigfoot and just hone in on that piece of footage and what that footage shows you and what that footage tells you. And the reality that it can't be disproven, it can't be proven to be a hoax or fakes, which it's not easy to say that, because most things in this world on some level can be proven. If they're not real, they can be in some way proven that they're not real. It's very rare. There's only, in my experience of investigating and researching the paranormal, altogether, there's only about 3 pieces of either photographic or video evidence that can't be fully debunked. One is the McMinn photo that we've discussed here on this channel quite a lot, that came from 1950 something or whatever in Oregon. Then you've got the Patterson Gimlin footage. So, it was just this mindset thing around Bigfoot, and I'll put a link, as I say, in the description. It wasn't a long video, but the way that Justin does what Justin does and how he talks about it kind of really makes you think, actually, why are we all so obsessed with going that, like, this is a bunch of hocus pocus and a bunch of nonsense, when if in 1967 somebody could get somebody to go into a monkey suit and walk in front of a camera, and 60 years in the future we can't still prove that it's a person in a monkey suit, then they were either absolute geniuses, which they weren't, or whatever is in that video footage is real, something that we need to consider and we need to explore. And I just think that I know I've talked about the Patterson Gimlin footage a lot, but I just think there's a mindset that you've got to get to around it.
Yeah, very good. Very good. I love that footage that we had. Was it the last one or last before last? With the stabilized and enhanced version of the Patterson footage.
Yeah,
it's really cool.
It was cool, and I mean that's the great thing is that we've got advancement on our side, we've got the future on our side, and how that footage is. Because I think I'm right in saying that it was originally filmed on a 40mm reel thing. So, I mean, and again, I've taken time to share with the audience of the Vault what the original footage looks like in its raw format. But, again, technology has been able to clear all that up and clear some of the early skepticisms and the natural thing. I mean, it positively boils me over when I just talk to people loosely on the street or in work and stuff, and they go, "Oh yeah, wasn't that a man in a suit or something?" Or and it just boils my blood because a suit like that it was just absolutely impossible for it to be created in 1967 in the first place. And even if it was possible, how two cowboys that had limited means and limited finances got hold of that in California in 1967? It's just there's more illogicalness. You're like more of a crazy person to me if you think that than if you're open-minded about other stuff. So anyway, I'm not going to keep going on about it. But thank you for the round of applause. I'll give myself 10 points for that.
Just go back. There's been a lot of live chat going on, so I just want to cover. So wheel not on screen. Yes, no, I know. I put it up in the end. Sorry about that.
Well, sorry, go on.
8 with 67 zeros after it. That's the number of possible random decks of cards variations you can get. 67 zeros. That's a lot of zeros. It's something as I think it was Sean pointed out. It's a number of atoms in the universe. It's more than that. Did you mean double split experiment, Monte? Yeah. Yes. I'll go yes. The double. Do you know the double split? I think we just talked about it before. Where it's used, the double split experiment was used to determine whether like particles are waves or particles. Like a sound wave is a wave, but a light particle is actually both a particle and a wave. And the double split experiment proved that. And if you like shine a light through one slit, you get the particles and the waveform that makes that. But then if you put two slits, the two wave patterns overlap each other and intersect, and you get a kind of like the resulting projection of that. Yeah. And that has also been used to talk about the many parallel universe phenomenon, the many worlds phenomenon. Yes.
I just put
Sorry, go on.
I've just put a reply to Chris in chat. I'm just gonna layer on top of that because Chris has put. I do have a question over that footage, as I believe I can point out how the skin does not fold correctly, creating shadow that should not be there. Sorry, G, don't hate me. I've just put, how have you done that analysis, Chris? I've never seen any of the video or photographic world experts pick this up. So I'd be really interested to find out how you've done that analysis. But here's the thing, Chris. Even if you presented that analysis or could show that on photo, I'm going to then ask you, prove or show to me how a suit like that was created in 1967 when suits didn't exist with muscle definition, because there's muscle definition in the creature that we see on that footage. That has been proven and it can be clearly seen by anybody who's got eyes. So there was no suits or any types of suits, whether it be a monkey suit or a lizard suit or anything that created muscle definition around. Even in Hollywood, they didn't have that in the 60s. Back then, costumes or whatever were terrible. So that a lot of people forget that, because this was almost, over 50 years ago. Yeah, that's a good example of the kind of suits that existed in top Hollywood budgets. This would have cost that Hollywood film like 10 to 20,000 just to probably rent or get somebody to make that suit. Two cowboys that were living off a shoestring would not have had the money to source or find or design a suit that surpassed anything that was available in that era or time. So you prove to me how that's somebody in a suit.
Yeah, there you go. It'd be interesting to go through it again though. So I do like going through that phase. It's
yeah, we'll come back to the Bigfoot subject in detail down the line.
Yeah. Right, so we live chat can get their what topic is Sean, Chris, and Mickey gonna get, and Smiler Rain, what are you gonna get? The Illuminati and the New World Order.
Is that for you or for me?
That's for live chat.
Oh, nice.
That's for everyone in live chat. What do you know about the Illuminati and the New World Order?
Yeah, let us know. I'm sure some of you guys know.
Yeah. It could be on the stream. Well, we'll talk about it again, Chris. Don't worry. We'll go over it again, maybe next time. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll definitely. As I say, always keep an eye out on our community thread, and then if we're going to do something about Bigfoot in the next episode that we do about Bigfoot, we'll definitely keep aside a section of time to discuss that footage again, and we'll play the most cleaned up, stabilized, most up to date version of that. And I think that's what he's referring to.
If you're around, I could do with another glass of wine if you're around. That'd be great. Illuminati.
Just wanted to point out our audience score-wise. We've got Smiler with 20 points. We've got Kevin with 30 points. And we have Chris with just ahead in the lead slightly with 35 points.
Yes. Oh yeah, it's hard typing. Yes, Chris. Yes. So I think
remember, Chris, you can always come and join us in the studio.
Yeah.
You don't have to be on camera. You can even just be on audio, so it's easier to talk and discuss things through. So
yeah. He has joined us before by accident.
There you go.
Star Trek.
Next book that Star Trek. Join us.
Yeah, it was an accident, right, but he was there.
We get on to the last wheel because time is getting on.
Oh no, we haven't talked about Illuminati, have we? I think the whole New World Order thing started. Didn't it start when the US came off the gold standard, and so then sort of money became meaningless. And
I think that's the New World Order you're thinking about.
New World Order.
The Illuminati is much earlier. So the Illuminati and New World Order are slightly different in kind of conspiracies, just slightly, not hugely. Same sort of kind of premise about there's some sort of elite community of either extremely wealthy or influential people that are controlling a lot of different areas and decision making and processes all around the globe. The conspiracy theorists around New World Order have definitely latched COVID into that now as well, and the virus being spread. And it's there was something about these cities. There was this program going on around the world to turn a majority of cities, and there's multiple countries all around the world that agreed to be part of this trial. and turn one city into, I can't remember if it's like a completely electric city or something like that. And there's some sort of connection to that and the coronavirus and trying to force things, speed up the agenda around certain things and controls and
Yeah, I used to have it. I don't know where it is now, but I think it's
because we did a whole thing on it, didn't we? We did a whole show on.
We did. I remember it was to do with the World Health Organization. I think it was the World Health Organization had a conference around the end of the COVID times, and they produced a plan from it, which they had on their website, which did look like New World Order kind of like. It was really interesting. like wow, this is what we need to do. We need to reduce the population. We need to consolidate countries. We need to, and it's like, you what? You what?
Yeah.
Was it? But yeah, it was. I don't think I can find it now, but yeah, if I find it, I'll put a link somewhere. But
look, I think the thing that feeds into it more so than ever, and I'm not saying that I'm opposed that there isn't something behind it, but my experience on this planet so far, what it's kind of told me is that as creatures, we can be like very, very cruel and very selfish and ugly in a lot of ways. But one of the things that makes me sort of step away from a sort of new world order or a sort of Illuminati is that we've just proven that we're just not that intelligent on a wide scale. Like, to keep something like that, people pressing certain buttons that control everything that certain countries and governments and militaries do. I believe there's an essence of truth to it, but not in this sort of. I do think there's certain, when everything happened with Trump and him getting elected to be president, that made me then realize that something in the world is being controlled by people that know how to control people, because if you'd asked me 10 years, 15 years prior to that, could you ever imagine Trump becoming president? You'd be like, no, that's ridiculous. If you'd asked me questions whether we were going to continue to be having such bad racial issues in the world as we are right now and have been since, just before or around the time that Trump took power, I again wouldn't guess at that. And there's certain things that go on in the world that do make me believe that there's something more to it's just happenstance or it's just the way that things have ended up. I think there is design and there's planning, but I don't know if it's on some sort of world global domination secret committee party or whatever. Yeah,
I think it's just a number of things that all come together under the same sort of heading, isn't it?
That's interesting, Sean. But Sean's got a huge amount of Doctor Who trivia. Did you know in World War Z, Peter Capaldi was listed a Who Doctor a year before he got the part as Doctor Who?
Well, there you go.
But the thing is, he was a doctor in that film. And I don't know if the WHO stands for something. It could just be happenstance, right? It could just
World Health Organization.
There you go. See.
Yeah. It's who. Yeah. Here we go. Right. So the last wheel. Here we go. And it's your turn to start this time.
Make sure to bring it up on the screen so everybody can see.
Here we go.
So what we've got on this one, UFO sighting.
There'll be Martians here, monsters are late, UFO sightings, moon, no moon, virus, no virus, where giants walked. And you've got virus, no virus. Ironically.
Worst one. Yeah. So I think this was I can't remember what this was related to the fact that there's a conspiracy that's definitely developed since, you know, the emergence of coronavirus, and possibly just before, that there wasn't really a virus per se, that it was just something that was staged to, I don't know if you can help me out by Googling up coronavirus conspiracies.
I'll give it a go.
But yeah, it's emerged now as like one of the top conspiracy theories. If you go on like Wikipedia now, it's like jumped up to near one of the top conspiracy theories.
What am I looking for?
Conspiracy theories around coronavirus.
Yeah. Bioweapon or hoax.
And again, a lot of people have a conspiracy that it was done to be able to put like stuff into people so that they can track the population a lot better or control the population. Yeah, there's a lot of interesting stuff. You know, the thing that I think makes this so appetizing to a lot of people that would be prone to be interested in conspiracy theories or design conspiracy theories is that there's a lot of strange behaviors that have happened around the history of coronavirus. So, for example, you know, we've had one of the virus antidotes just been sort of announced that it's not safe to use, you know, and so they've stopped using it to make people immune to coronavirus. Which one's that? I think it's the one that begins with V. Help me out in chat as well if you know what I'm talking about. Venica or something like that. One of the ones they've just stopped using that.
Oh, right. There was.
I can't remember which one it is, but you know that then has then made people think, well, they obviously were really scrappy about how they tested this stuff, but then if they weren't, and they, you know, can't be accused of just being sloppy idiots that just vaccinated half the world with a vaccination that wasn't really any good for them and was damaging, or was there an intention to use that vaccination for something else? So you can that's it, AstraZeneca. Thank you, Kevin, and thank you, Chris.
AstraZeneca. Yeah.
I'm going to give you both 5 points for helping me out on that one. Really appreciate it. So, 35, 40. Thank you. Yeah, again, what's this that Kevin's put in chat? What about the monoliths? I know I've spelt it wrong. They appeared around the world. There was a book that predicted the virus and the country and the germ warfare building where it came from. So, yeah, I mean, you could go through a lot of different events that happened throughout the history of coronavirus, even like its conceptualization about the fact that, you know, the whole media of the world told us that this virus had come from China, and we were all given that stigmatism. And then later on, it was found out that it actually came from a lab that was in China, but it's run by Americans and run by the US. So it was the US's responsibility, and they weren't controlling There's just so many things that just make you think. Like this is an example of what I was just talking about earlier, that if you did have a government or this committee of people that were working together to control things on a global scale, I'm sure if they did try that, they would make a hell of a lot of errors along the way doing it. And like maybe that's what we're talking about here with coronavirus, but there's just so many, I don't know, suspicious things. So you can understand why it's made its way to the top of the sort of conspiracy theory things, and why you've got still a lot of people in the world that refuse to take the vaccination because they just don't believe in the evidence that's being presented. That, you know, yeah. So that's why I'd initially put it in there, but I can't remember a lot of the details that I saw because it was weeks ago that I saw it. But I just thought it was really interesting. It's a subject that I'd like to read up on a little bit more and get a little bit more educated on.
Yeah,
but loosely,
I mentioned it. I mentioned it in one of our previous streams that I was reading a book from Dean Koontz, The Eyes in the Darkness. He wrote it in 1981. And,
I've read that book. It's a great book.
Yeah, and in that, there's a bioweapon that gets unleashed from a leaked lab in Wuhan, and it's a coronavirus bioweapon leaked from Wuhan in China. It's like 1981. It's like Dean Koontz knew.
Yeah. So again, there's the conspiracy theories have jumped right on top of that, all of that sort of thing, and can say, look, they've even planned it using things that they've read in fantasy or whatever. But I'm just trying to find where. There you go. A number of conspiracy theories have been promoted about the origins of the purported motive of the SARS coronavirus 2 virus and its spread. Some claim that the virus was engineered, that it may have been a Chinese or United States bioweapon, a Jewish plot, part of which is to force mass vaccinations or sterilization spread as part of a Muslim conspiracy or a population control scheme. I think the population control scheme is probably one of the biggest conspiracy theories in it, because there's been some evidence that some of the people that have had one of the certain vaccinations are now like having trouble conceiving and getting pregnant. Yeah, and again, along with that, the biggest thing is that the vaccinations were just some way for us to be tracked, monitored, catalogued without our permission. There you go.
Yeah, and I think it was really sus, wasn't it, that America sent that. They did their investigation into it, didn't they? And they had this big thing. They sent inspectors there to review, and they basically didn't go anywhere near the lab. They didn't, and they come back and they wrote a report saying, yeah, it had nothing to do with it come from bats in the wet markets in the Chinatown. It had nothing to do, and basically their entire report proved to be bollocks. So why would people at the top of American government produce a completely bogus report into what happened at a Chinese lab? It was all very fishy.
Yeah, I mean, this is the thing, is that, again, if you were to take a piece of paper and a pen and go through every event that took place or every announcement that any doctor, scientist, or government made between the start or the announcement or the appearance of COVID up until today, you could probably list out 50 suspicious things, at least a minimum, that don't make sense, don't add up, really, really suspicious, like the one that you just pointed out. So I guess what I'm trying to say is, whether you believe it or not, and whether you believe that there was something more behind it, which personally I do, but you can't argue about the fact that it was all messy, and you can't argue for the fact of why you can expect to see it on the high list of conspiracy theories in this current day and age now.
I mean, just the fact that they said, oh, it just came out of this seafood market in the middle of Wuhan that just happened to be next door to a coronavirus laboratory. Huh? But it had nothing to do with that. I was like, what? Okay, I believe you. Just crazy. Yeah, anyway. Oh, have I got one now?
Yeah, you're the last spinner of the night.
Oh, well, we'll turn one over to live chat afterwards. But, oh no, not UFOs again. No.
Hey, you didn't. What do you mean UFOs again? You haven't had UFOs yet.
Didn't I have some?
Oh, you had UFO abduction.
I had UFO abductions.
If you want to spin again, you might want to remove virus, no virus, though, because we've already had that, and remove UFO
virus, no
sighting.
virus. No, we can talk about UFO sightings. You know, we've done quite a lot of Monte zones on UFO sightings, haven't we? You know, we review them regularly.
The guys in chat are talking about stuff, and I just want to mention that, you know, we had our own conspiracies when we first started this channel, or at least first started doing Monty zones, because I don't know if you can recall, Monty, there was so many times where we were talking about something that was quite controversial, and all of a sudden we'd have trouble with the streams, or the stream would go
die.
down,
Yeah.
and we were like, oh, people are trying to stop us talking.
Yeah.
And, you know, and we just had this big paranoia that maybe like we were being watched and people were trying to stop things happening. I've had a couple of things with non-live uploads even that don't kind of, you know, there's odd things that have happened. But yeah, again, I guess I've got quite a suspicious mind though, so things like that just happen naturally.
Turned out to be my crap Wi-Fi connection, and then
yeah.
As soon as I wired
explanation for everything.
As soon as I wired my my computer in hardwired, like that's it. Not had a problem since. Yeah. All right, I'm going to spin again. I don't want to do UFO sightings. Oh, I should have took it off, shouldn't I? Moon, no moon.
So this is, you know, well, it's pretty obvious what it's about, really.
There's no moon?
That big conspiracy theory.
What, that we never went to the moon?
That we moon, no moon, or that, you know, there's even an extended conspiracy that the moon is not a natural planetoid?
That it's fake, it's hollow, or that's no moon, that's a space station. I've got a bad feeling.
Oh, that's what I should have put. That's no moon. That's a space station. But yeah, it was anything around this whole. You know, there's a lot of conspiracies around the moon and the fact that we didn't go there. So yeah, over to you.
Yeah. Well, as far as it not being a moon, we can pretty much tell from its effects on the Earth and our oceans, what the moon is comprised of. What its mass is. We know that it has nearly next to no heavy metals at its core. So it doesn't have like an iron core like the Earth does. It's very light. We think that's because a Mars-sized planet hit the Earth billions of years ago and ripped the outer crust of the Earth and this planet off, which was light materials, because the heavier materials in the molten Earth sink to the core. Ripped the lighter outer skin of it off like an orange, and that debris coalesced to form the moon. Yeah. The moon doesn't have an iron core, unlike yourself. Thank you, Sean. Yeah.
Chris has just said something there in chat, and I think we discussed this recently, or at least I think you brought it as news, or somebody did. We also have more than one moon. Wasn't there a discovery recently? There's like a really tiny.
Yeah, well, there might be some rocks out there. I don't know. That's quite possible. It's very difficult to see small rocks. So we definitely have a lot of man-made moons now going around the Earth.
And Smiler said, my granny insisted it was fake.
The moon landings. Well, the moon landings definitely were not fake. Whether any of the... I haven't seen any of the film or photos that have really convinced me that they were faked. I know a lot of people say the various things, but they can be easily debunked. You know, cameras at the time didn't pick up stars. You know, there's lots of problems with the whole faking theory.
I think the main
we
thing
have
that really...
We have the Lunar Reconnaissance Orbiter that's mapping the moon in great detail. And we've seen the landers, and the patterns the astronauts took on the surface. We've seen the moon buggies and the tracks it's made. It's there's overwhelming proof that it's all there to be seen. I don't know what else you can say about it. It was debunked, I think.
Well, you say it's debunked, but I think what's why there's still a lot of people out there that believe that it didn't happen or that it was faked, and but again, Smiley just said something there about flat moon. We still have people on this planet.
There's a lot of people out there that think the Earth is flat.
Yeah, and they just won't accept science things. However, here's the thing that I think is the fuel to the onward and continuing moon conspiracy, and something that you can't deny as well. Both Buzz Aldrin and Neil Armstrong have been either caught on camera or audio or been quoted as saying they didn't go to the moon. Now, whether they've got some sort of sick humor that they wanted to be funny and it was taken the wrong way, I don't know. But, I've watched several at least one interview with Buzz Aldrin where he basically jokes with this kid and says, no, makes an implication that they never went there.
It's not what he meant. It's taken out of context. It's not.
Well, maybe that's what I'm saying. But I'm trying to, when you've got the people that were supposedly the people that landed on the moon themselves, kind of being caught saying things that kind of give the impression, whether wrong or right, that they didn't go to the moon, that is enough fuel, I think, to give this thing legs, right? That's what I'm saying. I'm not saying I believe in it or not. I'm just saying that I think that's what gives it legs.
Buzz Aldrin's got into fights before and knocked a guy out for accusing him of not going to the moon. It's like, but he was caught. Yeah, I mean, he's an old guy, and he got his words a bit mixed up. It's not what he meant. No. I could probably bring up the clip if you want.
Yeah, but he wasn't an old guy when he did it. It was quite not long after at least I recall on the video that I saw. Or at least maybe he was like, I don't know, in his early 60s. I don't know.
I don't know if I can. No, I can't find it. It's in 2015. He was old.
Oh, right. Wasn't Buzz married to a BBC News presenter? I don't know, Kevin.
Maybe. I can't find the actual. Can't find the actual clip. But basically, he said, I think I know because we didn't go there. This is part of a longer answer, which was presented as proof that 1969 moon landings was faked. But if you look at the full video, it was taken out of context, Yeah. Anyway, this article here explains exactly how this clip came to exist.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, there you go. I've given you 10 points for me and no me.
Yeah.
Well done.
But there's a film come out recently, isn't there, that shows how it was, or it's a comedy, I think, which portrays how they faked the moon landings.
Yeah, I mean, again, I'm not going to go, black or white on this one, unfortunately, because again, I've seen some things that kind of are presented kind of well to kind of leave you with a bit of a question, even in regards to some of the stuff that you said. But again, I would say for
But you
probably
agree we
that-
live on a sphere, right? You've got that.
yeah. No, don't go that far. No, I'm just saying. Look, I would say that us going to the moon, probably 85-90% of me believes that yes, we did. 10% of me believes that we done, and there's some logic to why I've got that doubt as well, even outside of everything that we just said. And the biggest thing is, it's never been answered. Why were we going there? Second of all, why did we stop going?
Why did we go there? To beat the Russians. That's why they went there.
Beat the Russians to what?
To the moon.
To get into
to
the
be
moon.
the first to put their flag down. Yeah.
Okay, so when we got there, why have we stopped going there, and why have we?
Because we found it was a dried up rock.
Yeah, but
you have to remember that back then, the United States put a large percentage of its domestic gross product, like a third of the money in the United States budget went to NASA to get to the moon, right? Then once they'd done it and they brought back some rocks and they'd done it a few times, what was the point in continuing to throw money at it? They'd done it. There was nothing more to...
No, but again, like if I was in NASA, and I'm thinking about space exploration, wouldn't it have been like, couldn't we have put a base on the moon so that we could put observatories on the moon that would see better and easier because they're a closer distance? Wouldn't it make more sense to have a base on the moon to travel to other planets like Mars, but so there's an in-between point for like refueling or things like that? Like, it seems like a natural, logical course. If we're gonna explore space, like now our focus is on Mars, and people are convinced that we're going to be getting there, but we're not interested in continuing to go to the place that's like closest to us. We're just bypassing that completely. There's elements of it that, just for me, if you thought about what journey of space exploration should look like, even to the point where having a base on there to train astronauts for long-term space travel, or being on another planet that is not Earth, or another body of whatever, it makes a lot of bloody logical sense to do it. Now, you
can do pretty much everything you just said in low Earth orbit for a minuscule fraction of the price. That's the thing. You can put space telescopes up in Earth orbit. You can put science labs up in Earth orbit. And you don't have to go to all the expense of fueling rockets to go to the moon. So it's just a cost thing. It's never been...
Yeah, it's important. It's good that you've just said that cost thing, because going to what Kevin's just said in chat, understand why we went, but why did we stop when it was all funded? We spent countries of the world, but primarily US, even some in the UK, spent umpteen billions and billions of currency on going to the moon, and then all of a sudden it was just about a race to beat a country. Like, really? Is that a scientific space exploration mindset, that you're just there to beat another country, and now that you've done it, fuck it, let's stop going? Like, well, I don't.
The thing is, the rock samples and that they brought back were pretty unremarkable, and it shows that there's not a lot in the moon of interest. Now, more recently, we found that there's possibly ice at some of the craters around the polar regions that never see the sun, so haven't boiled off. So it might be of interest to go there, because if we can get some ice, we can then create nitrogen, we can create oxygen, and fuel, which would give us a purpose to go there, and would make it, there would be a point. But so we got the Artemis missions. I think it's Artemis, that's what it's called. So in parallel to SpaceX shooting for Mars, NASA are running the Artemis missions, which are going to be boots back on the ground on the moon. And it's also SpaceX. It's going to be SpaceX rockets and technology and whatnot, Dragon and all those things. But the Artemis mission is NASA run, where the Mars missions are SpaceX run. Of which we've got test number 5 coming up, I think, later this month or beginning of September. And this is going to be Starship. The main stage is going to be caught by the Mechazilla arms on the launch pad. This is the theory with the 5th test. So it's going to go up. Hopefully they might recover Starship in this one, and the main stage is going to land back on the pad that it took off from and be caught in midair. Which is just mad. But I'm looking forward to that, hopefully next month. That should be good. We'll get to talk about that in September. Yes. Could there be life in the ice? Probably not, because there's no other hydrocarbons and all the things you need for life, like warmth. And there could be on Europa and places like that under the ice sheets. And there's going to be, they're looking at more missions to places like Europa. There's like a mission where they're looking to melt through the ice, because the ice crust there, I think it's something like 4 miles thick or something like that. It's a long way, or it might even be more than that, where the ocean is underneath. So they're looking to use like the fuel rods for a nuclear power station. What's it called? Uranium or something like that.
All right.
You know, which will like be at the head of the probe, which will then melt through the ice, and it'll have like a lead coming off of it, and it'll have like sensors and cameras and things and lights, and then it'll melt through the ice all the way down to the ocean.
It's weird because I decided to put this moon no moon subject into the thing just by chance, actually, because I came across a sort of post on, I think it was Instagram, and it was a survey. Now, again, I don't really trust in a lot of these things because they're only surveying like 100 people, and is 100 people a great reflection of today's modern public? But this survey, only like 20% of people thought that we will ever make it to Mars.
Yeah, it's going to be difficult.
So there must be some or a lot of people still out there that have real big questions about things like the moon or our ability to explore space and stuff like that. Because it's more leaning on the doubters. But again, that's just from some survey that's come from some probably newspaper or something. So
I think was it Chris out there as well said something about in one of the missions, I think it was like Apollo 15, they put a mirror down on the surface, and it's still there to this day, and you can shoot lasers at it, and NASA does every day, constantly lasers are being fired at this mirror, and it's tracking the distance that the moon is from us, and it's like moving away from us at something like 4 centimeters a year.
Kevin's just reminded me of something. Damn it. I'll save it for the next Monte Zone. I came across this image of Mars the other day. So one of these Perseverance camera things. Found this sort of like gridded metal on the floor. It looks almost like what you'd wrap an end of a present with or make a bow out of. Really weird.
Right.
But, again, there's a lot of stuff that falls off of the previous rovers or whatever that then gets picked up by the other rovers. We're already creating waste and stuff on Mars, but it was a really interesting image, and I'll share it on the next Monte Zone. But I guess what I was trying to say when I was saying about why did we stop going to the moon is that's a separate question in itself, and there's a big, huge conspiracy theory around that. So I'm not saying that we didn't go to the moon. I'm just questioning why did we stop going to the moon. Yeah. But that's another conversation for another time.
There's lots of conspiracy theories around NASA, isn't there? There's lots.
It's an everyday thing, I think.
Okay, so we got 3 left. What of the live audience got to talk about. There'd be Martians. Ironically.
Well, yeah, that's to do with images or stuff that kind of leans towards the fact that Mars has not always been an empty void planetoid. But yeah, I think it's almost 11 o'clock now. So,
well, we've seen, haven't we, Monte? Eventually, the moon will be too far away, so it would affect the balance of the Earth. Yeah. I think it's going to move away, and then
I thought it was moving closer.
No, it's moving away, and then it's going to get to a point where it's going to then start coming back, and eventually, it could even get so close that it'll break up and like form a ring around the Earth. Yeah.
Just in case you're a real panic person, that's not going to happen for several millennia yet.
Yeah, billions of years. Yeah, the moon is. It's like several centimeters a year it moves away, or something like that.
No, it's literally millimeters.
Is it millimeters? I thought it was like centimeters.
Yeah. Didn't you say something on one of the other episodes that we were doing? The access that the planet our Earth is on.
3.8 centimeters. I was right. I said 3 or 4 centimeters. 3.8 centimeters a year.
Well, there you go.
Look at that. See, yeah.
It's come from Google, so it must be right.
Yeah. Well, I say NASA uses the mirror that the astronauts put on the moon for this figure. Yeah. If you believe NASA and their nefarious ways, though, anybody can do it. You can fire a laser at it yourself. There's the topic. The Earth's not going to topple over any time soon. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, sorry. I was saying, weren't you saying, there's like a true north to Earth, and actually the planet sits on an axis. Didn't you say there's like a toppling effect that every now and then it sort of like straightens up and goes back? I can't remember if it was you that was saying that.
Well, it wobbles.
Yeah, wobbles. That's it.
Well, you got the true north, which is the north of the axis of the rotation, which wobbles like that, and then you've got the magnetic pole, which is why the magnets point, the compasses point north, and every now and again, the magnetic poles flip. So north becomes south and south becomes north. And unfortunately, that usually instigates a sort of mass dying. What do you call those periods where everyone becomes extinct? One of those events.
Apocalyptic.
Yeah, I've forgotten what it's.
You mean the ones that Thingy talks about from ancient...
Yeah, mass extinction event. That's it.
Yeah,
it's usually one of those because as it flips, it takes quite a long time, and there's no magnetic sphere whilst that's going on. So the high powered radiation from the sun, we're no longer shielded from it, so it kind of kills everything, which is unfortunate.
No, Smiler, I'm seeing 8 likes to the stream, so I don't know if you need to refresh your stream. That's what the issue might be. But
extinction level.
I just wanted to say something to Sean. So, Sean, I was wrong because NASA says that it's 1.5 inches. But you need to be careful that you don't take what NASA says to you as fact, because NASA have a very much known behavior of having what they call flexible facts that can change quite frequently depending on what they find out and when they find it out. So, but I'm sure I trust in that piece of information that the moon is moving closer to the Earth 1.5 years every year. But that'll probably change somewhere down the line.
There you go. We have done our topics. We are done.
Yes. Well, let us know in chat what you thought of the Paranormal Wheel. We could always bring it back as a mini inserted game. So just do one one spin every or the odd occasional Monte zone that we've done, because I pretty much kind of exhausted all of real or fake. I don't think people can produce pictures fast enough for me to keep using pictures that are possibly real or fake. Because we won't, without me repeating ones that we've already gone through. So yeah, let us know what you thought about the wheel, guys. Like I've said on many occasions, this channel is as much as for you as it is for us. So if there's anything that you'd like to see us discuss on a future Monte Zone, you can either just put a comment onto one of our previous videos, or a comment onto one of our community thread posts, or on some of the videos I've actually put my UGP email on there as well, and you can email me there. But and if anybody ever wants to come into the studio anytime to talk about something like we were talking about with Chris earlier on, again, just message us and let us know. It's easy peasy. I can't talk for Monte, but I'm always well, I wasn't when I was on sabbatical, but I am now, again, watching the comments that come through on the channel and making sure to reply and acknowledge that you've commented us in some way. So if you do put something on there based on something that's on the community thread on one of our videos, I will see it and I will get back to you. So don't be afraid to share those ideas with us, because it's not easy us always thinking about what's the next subject to cover. And we do find that we talk about some of the same subjects a lot, but that's because we've got love or passion, like me with ufology and Bigfoot. So I'm sure we'll do a Bigfoot again, one again soon.
Yeah, well, thank you to everyone in live chat world who's joined us this evening, including Kevin, Chris, Sean, Mickey, our wrench, Spiler Rainbow. Was that about it? I think that might have been about it.
That's pretty much it.
That's pretty much it. Yeah.
I've got a funny feeling that there's been people that have been bounced on and off and liked but had to go. So, yeah. But thank you, everyone. Hope you have a great weekend. Look out for that community thread for both my G-Star episode that's coming up. That's going to be really interesting in collaboration with the Underground Paradox. Look out for news and updates about the Star Trek review, which I believe we agreed
not going on.
It's taking not going on a 2-week break.
It's definitely not going on next week. There's no Star Trek review next week, and then we're taking a decision whether there's going to be one the week after, if it's going to be on a Tuesday or a Thursday or something like that, because I can't make Wednesday.
So again, keep your eye out on that community thread, and we'll keep you updated as to what is happening. And then also keep your eye out for whether we decide to drop an impromptu Monte Zone at the end of August to double tap this month. So keep your eyes out for that. And thank you again for joining us.
Yeah. Thank you, everyone. We'll see you hopefully towards the end of the month for the next Monte Zone. Cheers.